Hey everybody, I just want to start by taking just a deep, amazing breath and just taking a deep breath and allowing ourselves the grace and space to be in whatever moment is authentic and right for us. I am so mindful of how caring this group of individuals is, and how blessed I feel to just be part of your work. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. MJ just joined us.
Hey,
Everybody, MJ!
do we want
Sorry for the
to
delay.
should we introduce ourselves?
Yes,
I love
please.
that.
Everyone, identify yourself and identify how you'd like to be identified.
Okay. I'm Leslie. Just call me Leslie.
I'm Peter. He, his. I am the assistant director, sound designer, videographer, editor.
I'm Jamie, she and her, and I'm the stage manager for the show.
I'm Emily, she, her, hers, and I'm Katie, Jordan, and Jones.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and she, her, hers, and I play Diana and Danny.
Raven, she, her, hers, and I'm playing Tracy Tyler.
I am Mai, she, her, hers. I'm playing Amy and Pete.
I'm Donabella, she, her, hers, and I'm playing Will, Leslie, and the admissions counselor.
I'm Joel Burkholder. I'm the production manager and technical director. Prefer he, him.
I'm Josh. Nice to meet you. He, him, his, associate artistic director.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Greco. I'm the artistic associate. He, him, his.
And back to me, Ken McLaughlin, artistic director, he, him, his.
Great. And I'm MJ, he or they. So nice to meet you all.
Sensitive Guys had been in my rotation, had kind of been in the queue for 2 years maybe, ever since I actually got a hold of it before it was first performed in New York. And I was always really, really interested in the play and just was, I try to find what I think is the right moment for a play to be heard. Are we in a place where we can actually hear the play as a community? You know, is this the moment? And so I try to keep myself open to my best instinct on that. But I knew from the beginning when we were going to do it, Sensitive Guys, in my hopes that, you know, one day we would do it, when we would do it, that Leslie Swackhammer would direct it.
When I first read Sensitive Guys, I was excited and I was scared. I was excited because it's just a great play and so incredibly relevant, and because it requires the actors to navigate between male characters and female characters, and it's just an amazing opportunity for the work of the actor to shine on the stage. I was scared because I actually am a survivor of sexual assault, and this was going to be closer to the bone than anything I've ever directed. And I was also scared just because it's a great responsibility to bring something like this to the stage. It's a topic that is so right now. It's happening everywhere across the country on college campuses, including on the campus that my daughter goes to.
In terms of putting the team together, you know, I really felt pretty strongly that it was as many women in the room as we could get to really create the sense of empowerment the play seeks. But also, I think, you know, a room full of people who are really willing and daring to imagine this world, you know, allow their hearts to open up. And the sad thing about a world that deals with rape culture is how few women have to imagine it, how many women experience it.
When I first read Sensitive Guys, I read all the way through it, and then I stopped and I took a breath, and then I read all the way through it again. I am a survivor of assault myself, so it was a really tough script to really sit down and focus on and get in the heads of these girls. And I mean, okay, so I say that, and it wasn't really tough because I'm right there with them in this moment. And so seeing these girls on their journey and being able to put myself in their shoes made the design process really, really rewarding.
And I mean, it's a wonderful piece. It's a very important piece, and a difficult piece, you know, technically playing both women and men, but also tackling such an intense topic and such a relevant topic in our world today.
I mean, just getting to make art with this specific group of people has also been super, super fulfilling, because I feel like we just all came into this process so open-minded and excited and ready to hear each other. Like, that was one of the most important things for me through the process, was how we all heard each other and were meeting each other where we were that day, you know? And it's been cool to see how we have kept that through the Zoom stuff, and how it almost feels like we didn't have to work very hard to film this show, because all those connections were already there.
It felt in many ways like the dream of like doing a show at a summer stock or a theater camp or something, but with people who had years of professional experience behind them. So that resulted in just an amazingly safe, creative, collaborative place where we all felt accepted and okay to be vulnerable and do the best work of our lives.
This is the most glorious, open, wonderful, fierce, talented, and just amazing rehearsal process and room I've ever been a part of.
Part of our process when we were in the rehearsal room was to work with Nina Garcia, who's a drama therapist, and to explore our feelings about the play, our feelings about ourselves and our own personal experiences with sexual harassment and sexual assault, and to find a way as a group to deal with it together, to create that space where we could just be bold and strong. And we did a couple of exercises and somehow came up with this idea that we could do anything as long as we were doing it together. And we called our togetherness the good ship we. And that really became a way for us to survive and sail through the whole rocky terrain of having to stop our rehearsal, having to pull away from our friendships, our collaboration, the play itself, and then forge a new path forward with the material.
Leslie and Peter created an environment for us that was very safe for us to explore such a sensitive topic. Sensitive.
After our second week of rehearsal, I went to New York for a day to present the Susan Smith Blackburn Prize, which is a big playwriting prize for women. And that's the first time I really started realizing what a big deal COVID was. People were really nervous. People had come over from the UK and from Europe where things were really heating up, and I was seeing more masks. People were elbow bumping instead of hugging or shaking hands. And when I returned, I started seeing more of that behavior in Houston. And so we started getting a lot more careful in our rehearsals. We were wiping things down more. We were not touching handles. We were being careful when we came in and out. we were even socially distancing more.
And as we got closer and closer, your stage manager called and was ill.
On Wednesday, I started not feeling super well, and then the next morning I woke up and felt even worse. And at least for me at that point, COVID was a thing that was like happening, but it hadn't shut anything down like in America yet. So it felt not super real, but like waking up and thinking like, okay, I might have it, or like trying to Google symptoms for it and thinking like, okay, you know, I went to the doctor that day to figure out what if I had it or just to see a professional about it. I wore a mask there, and walking in, I got sequestered in my own exam room. I didn't spend any time in the waiting room. It was very eye-opening, like first of all, and just how much stuff you touch in like a day-to-day basis. And then just kind of how serious it was and how serious people were taking it.
And I remember going to rehearsal that night, and we had wiped everything down, and we still didn't even know what this was, right? What could happen? And assuring the actors that everything was okay, and that we were monitoring this and following the protocols as we knew them, and giving the actors the choice at that moment in time. What did they want to do? And the actors wanted to go forward, and we had a plan for Peter to, sit in a stage management. There was this sense that going forward, we really want to tell the story. And finally, on the last day, when we knew that it was, inevitable that we were going to shut this thing down, shut the theater down, I remember coming into space and Leslie, you saying, why don't you guys come watch this? And so the team that was working on Hookstale, we stopped Hookstale and went down to honor you guys. And I know we had discussed that this was quite possibly the only time that they were ever going to get to do this play. And I remember very clearly when they were finished with that run in the room, in the Smith, on 3/4 of the set being built. I knew in my heart at that moment that nothing was going to stop us.
I recall distinctly Thursday, March 12th, because about 3 hours before the opening of our third venue, we had to make the decision to call the important group of our community members who had really helped make this building possible, and we're excited about celebrating the opening of the final space, to let them know that that moment was not going to be now, and that we would be focused on a time in the future together. At that point, we had canceled performances effective immediately through the end of March. Saturday, 48 hours later, I was in the building trying to understand what that cancellation of those couple of weeks was going to mean for us. And got an AP alert that the CDC had just issued guidance that recommended that no groups of 50 plus gather through the middle of May. This was as Sensitive Guys was going into tech rehearsals to close out this incredible process and finally be able to introduce audiences into this story. And that's the moment that we realized we had to come and have a conversation collectively about what we do from this point forward, because the performance dates that we had set were not going to work.
There was so much momentum. There was so much momentum around so many moving parts in our company, in our community, within each individual project, within our staff's development. There were so many things that had momentum. And with the building have been open, all that momentum came to a screeching halt.
So it's just such a strange moment in our world, right? Like when you look back, even just a few months, and try and put the pin in that moment and remember it. I mean, we had just opened the building. We were on the high. I can't imagine in my entire life or career, certainly, I will ever experience anything as momentous as that, as the opening of the building, as joyful and glorious and just as supportive as everyone was for our projects, opening the Fantastics, opening Water by the Spoonful, just learning our spaces, watching the public come every single night. It was just the most incredible experience and blessing I could ever imagine. And so we were riding really high, and then suddenly comes this this shadow, which starts way off in the distance. And I remember standing in that first rehearsal and doing what we do at first rehearsal of every play, where we gather as a whole community and we just talk about the value of the play and why we're doing it and the values of the organization. I always say, we are here to serve this play, and we are here to serve this play as fully as possible. And I remember standing there. I remember this. There was something uneasy inside my body that day.
I think it was like on Saturday, and we didn't know if we were going to see each other again on Sunday. I even felt like a rush of gratefulness that we got to be together, because I watched people coming in for the Fantastics and they didn't even get to say goodbye. And people had bought their tickets to show up to be told, we're actually shutting the show down. So like, I can't really say that I felt devastated, but I felt sorrow. I was grateful because I felt like things were being handled for our safety.
What I recall, because again, a lot of that, when you're making a business decision, right, or making a decision that's good for the whole, but you're looking at the face of artists who are working straight from their heart. That is a hard razor to stand on, and I remember what I perceived as the artists being really grateful that we had made a choice, and that I just felt support from the artists. I felt shared. The pain was shared, and that helps a lot, really.
And for me, that served that day, standing on that stage, having this conversation, as an incredible reminder of the fullness that our artists bring to storytelling within this company.
And quarantine began, and that was a very interesting moment because it went through peaks and valleys where we would like reschedule it, but then it would get postponed indefinitely again, and then it would be rescheduled, and then it would be postponed again. It was kind of a back and forth emotional thing for me for a good chunk of quarantine. And when we were approached to do it via Zoom, that was a very weird time for me because that was when the whole George Floyd situation was gaining a lot of traction. So I was just being like overwhelmed via social media and the news and all kinds of outlets with very frightening imagery and rhetoric. And so I was kind of in a weird headspace for a good portion of the rehearsal process. I was trying to focus here, but my brain was still being torn elsewhere because anytime I stopped for a second and looked at my phone, there was more distressing information.
When we were on hiatus, we did weekly just cast creative team Zoom meetings, which kept us all, sane, and we were able to check in with each other and keep to process together, because we were grieving the loss of what that was. And then coming back into it in this form, I think we're all a little wary at the beginning of it, saying, oh my gosh, how is it gonna feel? I think the analogy I used was that it felt like we buried a loved one and then they came back to life.
It was so surreal. I don't think I ever really had a chance to process any emotions truly about it. I can't state that I ever felt anything but just kind of a flurry of loss.
I think about 4 weeks went by where we were trying to recollect and kind of reassess the situation and figure out how we're going to move forward. Learning.
Please 1 minute at a time. I'm sorry. I currently do not have a meditation for the sets you can see.
Alexa, stop.
Yeah, we really had the rug pulled out from under us. So, and it was also that the uncertainty of are we going to do it? Aren't we going to do it? Is it going to happen? Isn't it going to happen?
About 3 weeks into the shutdown, we had been assessing and kind of reassessing, and figuring out how we were going to move forward in the best way, and kind of keep this project alive. You know, we knew that as a company, as creative team, as the staff, we all knew that this project needed to continue in some way or form.
Oh, well, we're on hiatus for, what was it, originally 2 weeks, and then it was 4 weeks, and then it was going to be June 1st, and then it was over and done with, and it wasn't going to happen. And then miraculously, we got to get together and do it online. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Peter. You know, so, and thank you, Ken, and the theater. We got to finish the process, reinvent the process in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
The theater is closed due to COVID. I remember we were in touch, and I was hearing that the show was going to be postponed, and I think it was postponed again and again. And then at a certain point, it just wasn't clear when the theaters were going to be open again. And I think my agent got in touch. Like, I don't think I heard from you for a while, and said they're thinking about creating a Zoom production. And I was kind of skeptical at that point. I was sort of like stuck in a critical place about theater on the internet. Like, I thought, like, theater is supposed to be live. If I'm going to write for a screen, I'll write for film or TV, because that sort of takes advantages of the strengths of a screen. But theater, you know, is best live. It's best 3D. It happens because of the unique magic of everyone in a room together. But then we had a Zoom call about it with Ken, and he had so much passion for the play, and he said, we just want to get back in the room with it. We want to be telling this story, and college campuses are on Zoom right now, so why can't the play take place on Zoom? And I was really moved by that, and I felt like, yeah, why not embrace this live experience?
It's a funny feeling. I had this enormous amount of dread and giddiness at the same time, because I didn't know what was going to happen the next day. But it was also I was just so excited that we would be able to get this gift, that we were chosen to be able to do this again, and to sort of, I was also just so excited to understand that theater was going to go through a transformation, and that Stages was going to be at the forefront of that. That was so incredibly exciting. I kept thinking about how, like, what is MJ going to do? How are we going to do this? Is everything going to be in a Zoom meeting now? Are we going to try to suspend disbelief and have us all in the same space? Like, what is this going to look like? And is the script going to change? I was very excited for that.
We've just started a new process of a new thing, and I'm very grateful to have been with this particular group of people that had that bond in the beginning of, you know, pre-COVID times, pre-pandemic times, to then forge into this like new territory of where many theater people are hanging out and experimenting in. And so I'm happy to be here with this group of people doing this crazy weird experiment and seeing what works.
Even from that first meeting with Ken, we were sort of like, well, we'll see how it goes. We'll try it out. We'll see. We'll, you know, see if it works. And just from the first read, I was like, there's really something here. I'm getting to see this world, this play in a new way. It's being adapted for a new time, and it's really special.
It's a different thing. It's a totally different animal. You know, it's not really theater in the way that I've always known it, but it's not quite film either. And so it lives in this sort of liminal space between those two things, and navigating that has been really fascinating and challenging. And I mean, both technically challenging from like a technology standpoint, and then technically as an actor having to translate the work that I'm used to doing with this piece in particular in the rehearsal room and on stage to this little box here.
I remember that Zoom and looking into the faces of those artists and recognizing the scale of what we were asking of them, you know, it was much greater than it seems, or than I perceived it to be, than I even thought it could be. You know, not only the content of the play and re-meeting the play after a few months of being away from it, but also the challenge of moving all of that work into an entirely different media.
I expected it to be tech heavy. I don't think I expected to be so frustrated with how it has invaded my living situation. I'm also excited to pack up all this stuff and return it back to the theater. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys can answer this. Can I buy this light ring at a discount from Stages, or should I just get my own?
Is she living with her family right now? Like there's 6 people. That's an issue for her in terms of like even just having a space and also having sufficient internet, because she can't like kick everybody off internet every night. A really big challenge was that everybody's got a different living situation, and a lot of people have housemates, and you just couldn't control when somebody might just walk in.
I'm just not sure if that's the message.
I'm not really willing to dumb my voice down for this.
Okay, yeah, bad idea, sorry. Oh, shit. I was supposed to be at my work-study job like 10 minutes ago.
I thought you never get penalized for lateness.
Well, I can't be like late.
What's
Wait,
like lateness?
we have to stop. We just have.
You're fine, baby. You're fine. Don't look sad.
No.
All right, that's cool.
What do we do?
We have to move on. So we'll table this for Saturday. And if we yeah. Cool.
It's okay.
No worries. We got time.
Did you guys see my message on Facebook? Embrace imperfection.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, perfection. I mean, it's hard. It was a hard lesson for me to learn because I'm a perfectionist. But if you focus on achieving perfection, it will like basically just file down every interesting choice you ever make. So don't get hung up on things. Raven, if Nathan comes in, yell at him like he's your roommate. Dude, what are you doing here? Go ahead. Embrace it.
After the first couple of rehearsals, we had to figure out how to make everyone's house a sound studio for the most part. So there was a whole moment of me putting a big gray sheet up over my giant map of Middle Earth, and my ceiling is weird, and so it didn't want to do it evenly. So my partner and I just had to do some finagling, but we figured it out. And then there was setting up lights. Thank goodness we had a ring light already. Moving things around. There's furniture that was moved. And then there was the point where we had to get the things that we needed to, like, from the theater to do this. So we had to go over to the theater, pick up like a chair. I had to get a computer because I don't have a computer that works well enough to have pulled this off. I had to get a cord to hardwire my this computer to the router. It's a great time.
And particularly it was hard for me at the beginning when we first started, because the space that I'm using is where I like to do my meditations and like my tarot readings and stuff. And so it was like this sacred area was suddenly kind of on display, and there's stuff all over the walls. You know, I had to cover that shelf that I had on the wall. And so part of it was just getting used to that, honestly.
It almost feels more personal being in your house, you know?
Yeah.
Like it felt more real almost in a weird kind of way. Like from the inside looking out anyway.
You have to listen so much more, I've noticed. Like, I mean, I think listening is one of the most, if not the most important part of being an actor on stage, but in this medium, it's even more important because when I'm looking down here at you guys, I'm not looking into your eye. It's impossible to make actual eye contact, and so you have to make contact in a completely different way.
It's weird acting to a green dot.
It is very
I'm
weird.
sure, especially this particular scene. It really seems like you guys are connected though, so.
I feel connected to
Good.
you. Cool. All right.
So we're just going to read 41 and then we're going to come back and we're going to.
Great.
Being able to act just like in your room at a black dot at your camera of your computer screen is almost like, you know, practicing in your car or in your shower.
I just want you all to know that you're doing such a good job of seeming like you're in the same room. I know we're on Zoom, but it just really feels like you all are connected and together. I know it's must be weird as shit playing to your green dot. But you're doing great.
And just some tips just to streamline how we work. Can you guys see that? So, excuse my selfies. So
I love them.
thanks. So that we can just be like, all right, in this scene you're in close up, so you know exactly how to frame yourself up. Just to get everybody on the same page, and here are some tips. I'll send this out to you all after rehearsals. Can we try something? If that's okay. So Donna, when everybody's discussing around you, could you go into like a more medium widest shot so we kind of see more of your body, so you're kind of thinking? And when Tracy calls upon you, can you do like a slow fade in as you're slowly getting closer into the camera? Yeah, so it's like you I want the administration to get the message to still, and that kind of medium wide, but kind of end up like medium close up by the end of that.
Okay.
Major thing would be to just the adjustment of tone and style from a larger, bigger, more physical aspect, which is what I really is sort of my cheat into a character versus, oh, I'm only sitting on my bed and I have, you know, this much of a space to play in. So how do I tell a story that way? And we discovered a lot of ways of you know, using the camera, of moving our head around a lot, or motions here using our hands. So those were some things we discovered as well.
I am so glad you're here you're like being our art director.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm the annoying person at the tech table who sees the safety pin that's left in the hem on the third ballerina on the left. So
well, that makes art better. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Raven, does your ring light have any controls on it for color, temperature, or intensity? You try something cooler. And also, what kind of light do you have on your right hand side?
Lamp.
Just with a shade on it, or? Okay, great. Okay. And how it looks like are you looking pretty much straight into the ring light, or yeah? Can it adjust up a little higher?
I think it's as tall as it gets right now.
Okay. And is it resting on a desk, or could you put
on the floor? It's a very tall tripod. It's on the floor.
Okay, great.
One of our delightful challenges, but also a real challenge, was that we all have pets. And you never could know when a dog was going to wander through, or a cat was going to start trying to pull the scenery down, or somebody was going to bark, or somebody was just going to come up and want a little scratch behind the ears.
Well, there was the very fun situation of putting my dog in this production, and it was fine the first couple of takes, and he doesn't like being bothered when he's sleeping, and I just kept bothering him while he was sleeping. And it ended up being just a game of how many treats can I get for doing this.
With any new technology, there's always a steep learning curve. And it was pretty funny to see how we all forgot to unmute at some point throughout the whole process of rehearsals.
Go ahead, Rach.
You're
You're
on
muted,
mute,
Rach.
Rachel.
You're muted. Wait, you're muted.
Sorry.
Raven, you're mute. You're muted, Rachel.
Noon to 5. You're muted, Rachel.
You're
You're-
muted.
And you're muted.
Oh, Jesus.
You have to unmute. Unmute.
Thank you.
You're muted. You are still muted. Are you trying to talk to me? You're muted, Raven.
Rape happens here.
You're mute. You're on mute. Peter, you're on mute. Oh, Emily, you're on mute.
My biggest challenges with this project was having to remotely support everybody technically. And it was hard not being able to see their screens so I could troubleshoot what was going on with their computers. So I had to rely on what each actors were seeing. Can you open your audio settings? And just lower it just a little bit.
Which one, the speaker or the microphone?
The microphone, and make sure automatically adjust volume is unchecked.
Okay.
Okay, give me a 5 count again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Great, all right.
We're refilming all the girls' scenes because we had the first day when we filmed. We got some great takes with shit audio. Like, just like there's one where it sounds like we're inside somebody's washing machine.
They gave me a ring light,
Mhm.
but I've never used my own lighting source, so one, I'm a little lost, but it also, I don't know how to set it up because there's no like stand or anything.
Oh,
Interesting. Yeah.
No, I just feel like not in the room, like the anticipation and the timing is just off because it's like sometimes there's lag. So there's just like, for me, a lack of trust on
Yeah.
the technology. Yeah.
I think we're still having technological issues. So we need to, Peter's on it. That's all I can say.
I'm trying to be on it.
Oh, what happened?
If you press Command Shift N, it should switch back to your other camera.
Command Shift N.
N,
Not to go
yeah.
in incognito mode.
Oh god. Snap camera was off. Whatever.
The ghost.
When we were preparing for this project, we came across a program called Snap Camera. And basically, this was a program for us to use Snapchat filters with a laptop computer camera. And this allowed us to play with the backgrounds and have more control over them than Zoom would allow us to.
Oh no, because my
Oh.
That's terrifying.
My
it's terrifying.
One of the things that we did not anticipate was that everybody had different equipment, so we didn't really know how the software was going to work with everybody's stuff. And we found that one of our actors, she kept disappearing into her background. It was like she was being swallowed up by whatever background she had. And that eventually we had to get a green screen for her, and we had to quickly call people around town to see if anybody had a green screen to send to us on a day's notice.
Peter, do you want her to turn on her green screen and see if that works?
Yeah, if you could real quick.
You did miss it, Leslie. I also had old age makeup on earlier. It was good.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Can you
fun.
can you go to the settings, Donna, in Snap Camera and turn on the green screen?
Did it?
Okay.
Doesn't seem like it changed much.
No, it did
Well-
not do anything.
Wait, move back and let me see. I'm not seeing you just disappearing.
I mean, my hair kind of is. Oh wow.
Okay. Do you have so? All right. Let's change your camera back to your native camera in Zoom,
Yeah.
and then let's choose virtual background.
Ooh.
Okay, that looks so much better.
There were so many toys that we could have played with, and we did. And really, our process took us to a place where we had to admit, and it was a good thing, that going for reality and not playing with all the toys of technology was going to take us to a place of truth that was more compelling. We had so many challenges. One of them was just a logistical thing. I had to go to Florida in the middle of rehearsals for a family issue. And one of our team members had a family crisis where she had to go to Arizona and design from Arizona.
At the end of May, I found out that my grandmother had been admitted to the hospital, not for COVID, thankfully, but for an emergency surgery, which was not so great. So my mom and I drove out from Houston to Arizona to come and take care of her. So when Leslie and Peter and everyone started getting ready to do the filming, it was a nice little mental escape from everything that was happening here and the limbo that we felt, not only with what was happening with my grandmother, but also with what's happening with COVID and outside our own houses.
Since this show was already built beforehand, we had a costume from top to bottom for every actor, including shoes, including pants, including all the jewelry, everything that if we're being filmed, you won't necessarily see. But for an actor, it does help a lot of times to help inform them and get them really into the headspace of the character that they're playing. So we sent everything that we had.
So we spent a lot of time on makeup every day. We would work for at least an hour before we started, and we kind of had to look at the costume plot and like how everything was set up differently because, you know, we're filming all the men's scenes on this day, so have all your stuff ready to go so we can like shoot you in and out of those t-shirts or out of those, you know, jackets or hairstyles or whatever. And so it was a little bit more of a challenge because it was a big brain shift, I think, for the actors especially, but also for me, and I think everyone overall, of course. So we had some great over Zoom makeup tutorials where we're doing a lot of really close shots and getting in there to to kind of show the best way to, you know, create those highlights and make your face more masculine.
Yeah, can you pull up a screenshot? Yeah, see how straight those are?
Oh yeah, they're straight across.
Yeah, up on top. Yeah.
I didn't go up as high.
It's like
they're kind of like down though in that shot. Is there another shot where they're more like relaxed?
It looks like also that it's not like, it doesn't come down to as sharp of a point. Like it's more blunt on it also. So that might be.
Yeah, so I didn't like follow my natural shape at all.
Your jaw looks super chiseled in this. Yeah, girl.
David was just looking at me weird. He was like, "You look like a guy."
Oh yeah, I was walking around earlier and Nathan was like, you're just like, weird.
I was just
Thinks I'm
hitting.
handsome. He thinks I'm handsome. It's nice.
I was
That's
hitting
good.
on Richard and I made him feel weird.
Wasn't it
It's
thing
'cause
on Nathan
people
or
are
anything, but he was
discovering
just like,
things
"You're
about
handsome."
themselves.
I was like, "Are you questioning yourself now?"
Yeah, I awakened something in you, didn't I?
That's my dream.
One of our actresses did a very great job doing doing her own wigs for the first time as we're like working together on where the things need to be.
All right, did you get a Karen wig? Does she have a Karen wig? I was fantasizing about it.
So we have 3 different wigs that are like vastly different.
What's
We
your
tried-
favorite?
I like the one that's like kind of, I know our Amazon box. Because you just got to keep in mind, this is like some Amazon work. I wasn't in Houston, couldn't go buy wigs. So
It's okay.
It's all an experiment. So this one that she's trying on is probably my favorite of them.
I think it's most Karen.
So Donabella, when you put it on, just make sure that you're pulling down those little ear flappies, like as far as you can, and then taking the back and like pulling and stretching over your hair. Not like crazy amount, but like we really want to suck it to your head like as much as possible, especially because you already have like, you know, a lot of volume to your hair. Oh yeah.
It is pretty, it's a pretty voluminous wig.
It really is. I don't
There's
know.
a lot of hair. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hair.
There sure is.
Do you have the blue dress like kind of near you that you'd be able to slip on just so we can see what they
Or
look
she
like?
can just
with?
hold it up. She can hold it up. I don't want to.
Okay, that'll
we're
work.
going to be.
That'll work.
We're close to running out of time.
Yeah, yeah. We're like almost ready.
I was having a nervous breakdown when we started, so we had to pause.
Oh, awesome.
Pause for tears.
Did you do a little breathing and counting
Yeah.
to 10? Good. Okay.
This one is like so weirdly thin. I also have no idea where the bangs are supposed to go.
Okay, so I'm just, I'm like, pull it back a little bit on your head. And like, Leslie, I can't even tell you these were like the best options on the internet. But I also really had a lot of fun with this one. And
I like
feel
this
like
one. This
Cool.
one feels the most, yeah. I think once you put lipstick on and, you know,
eyeshadow and
just,
stuff.
yeah. All right, I'm
Yeah,
going to
I'm
leave you alone.
Still finding out things like how this works. You know, I mean, I know we have echoes and remembrances of the other place called the theater, but you know, the more we can find things that work in the context of we're Zooming together, the better.
It looks amazing. It really does. I think this is going to be very powerful. So we're just going to keep pushing on. We built in enough of a cushion to fix this stuff and to re-record on Saturday and Sunday. And I think we're off to a really great start. But we've got, I mean, we've learned so much in 3 days.
Yeah.
We really have.
I've like talked to some people. I'm like, yeah, it's like a bunch of theater people. And I know some people have done film before, but I was like, we're just like going for it.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yay.
Oh man, I want to hug y'all so bad.
When we started rehearsal, I actually started with a sense of comfort and calm, and that's really because I was a co-pilot on this now, and my co-pilot was Peter Tan, and Peter and I have been working together for a long, long time, almost 10 years, and we have a relationship where we just bounce ideas off each other. There's so much trust. He has so many skills that I don't, especially in the technical realm, that I knew we were going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think the main thing with working with Leslie is that there is so much trust and there's just so much positive energy, and every choice never feels wrong. We're always willing to try it, and I think that's the most exciting part, is how truly collaborative Leslie is, and working with her is just a dream.
I was surprised by how like urgent the subject matter felt to them. It's like the question of sexual assault is like really different during a pandemic, but it's like really present and real, and I could feel that in the way that they were making choices as characters, and that was really exciting to see, because I wrote this 4 years ago, like long before any COVID hit.
As far as, you know, facing the adversity of the situation, it just shows that a group of artists that are committed to a piece of art can make that piece of art happen regardless of the circumstances.
A lot of things surprised me in this rehearsal process because of how well certain things in the show worked on Zoom. Like, I feel like it feels way more intimate somehow. And that kind of helped fuel me, especially as Leslie, because telling her story over Zoom, I almost felt like more naked about it. I was sad about a lot of the stuff that we lost, of course, but I don't know, I feel like we found as much new stuff over Zoom as we lost not being on stage.
I think at first it was kind of a letdown that we weren't going to put up this stage production, but I had a really good time changing our direction and being able to refocus that creative energy into a new world that we are finding ourselves in.
I have to say, I was really surprised. I was really blown away by what I saw this ensemble do and the subtlety that they were able to mine, even in this tiny little box.
Oh man, I suddenly got really emotional. It's been such a pleasure working with you, Leslie, and working with you, Peter, and you, Jamie. It's been like I think the best theater experience of my life to be able to work with everyone. I didn't expect to get this emotional about it. So it's just been a real gift to be back for 2 weeks of weirdness and determination and pressure. But it's been a thrill, and I hope it happens again. So,
you know, what I'm learning about theater is there's so much more undiscovered country for us. There's just so much more for us to learn and grow. Zoom is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. This way of communicating, this hybrid thing, is now a part of our toolbox. And think about it. It wasn't even on our. We didn't even have this on our radar. 6 months ago. I spent 5 years working on building a theater. The kinds of things I would have built for the theater now are totally different. Well, not totally different, but somewhat different, right? So it's to me, it's like a door opening.
When we wrapped Sensitive Guys, our Zoom presentation, I had such an amazing sense of pride and joy that this group of people had met the challenge and worked so beautifully together to create something really new that relied on all the techniques that we have in our arsenal in the theater. At the end of the day, theater is about sharing and communicating and being vulnerable. And we kept that as we went through this whole weird learning curve with Zoom and met the material and met each other in this play, Sensitive Guys. I really hope it comes through, and I look forward to seeing everyone again in the theater very soon.
I love you guys. Well, here's a toast to the good ship We.
Oh man.
This is a very treasured experience.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Join us.
Amen.
Oh man.
Oh yes, that robe.
All right, I'm stopping recording now.
Oh, good.
Yes, that robe.
Now we just have to figure out how to make a documentary.
I've made a documentary before.
No, me neither.
Yeah.